I'm Karen Wohlsen from 2 Streets Over. We're a corporate gifting company based in Sydney. We specialise in creating and curating brand-aligned, tailored gifts to help businesses build relationships with their clients and their teams. We're growing, and most of our projects revolve around curated gifting programs and portfolios which have been tailored, so not necessarily off the shelf. So we have big reliance on our systems and how they work well together. And main clients at the moment are real estate, group, franchise networks, national brands that we work with at the moment, and also smaller businesses and trades as well. Before we started working with Spek'd, we had lots of systems. So we had the back end of our website, and that included the inventory. We had our budgeting, we had our ordering system, and we also had our gift packs. So one of the biggest issues that we found in the systems is that our website recorded inventory for single items when an item was purchased, but when a gift pack was purchased, we didn't have a system in place to bring each of the individual items in one gift pack, and that inventory was accurate. So that was a manual process that we had. Before working with Spek'd, there was lots of double handling, checking our inventory, so the single products, the gift boxes, and also all of the packaging. So, the boxes, the ribbons, the shredded paper, the 2 Streets Over tags, and the cards. All of those things were sitting in individual spreadsheets. At the time when we first started, is whoever had time was in charge, basically, of trying to manage either the inventory and just making sure that everything was ticked off. So we had lots of little processes, but they're all manual and they were sort of all spread across. So, which made us a little reactive as well, and maybe sometimes missing a few things and having to double handle inventory. So we were it felt sort of like patchwork almost before we started working with Spek'd. My biggest brief for the team was, how do I keep track of the inventory, particularly with gift boxes where it had multiple items in them? We decided to do an operations audit for clarity's purpose, to give us a platform to be able to grow without that frantic feeling of, that day-to-day feeling where you're just like, oh, who's doing the inventory? Do we have enough of the candles that go in gift box X? Who's got the responsibility this week, today, to check on the pricing? And so we found that we individually, the 3 of us at the time of the audit, was individually we each had things in our mind of things to do, and we weren't necessarily linked by a system and something that helped us understand where I was versus where Benji was versus where Max was. So it was whoever had the time, and it felt really reactive. So working with Spek'd was, and even though I was like, I think we've got a good handle on this, working with Spek'd was amazing because suddenly you have these questions that I think you either choose not to ask yourself or you forget to ask yourself about the business. And then a third party is in there looking at the business from a really critical point of view because their aim is to help us as a business grow. That's why we chose to work with Spek'd. The process was just amazing. It was the interview process of understanding the business, how we worked on a day-to-day basis, the roles and responsibilities for each of the members, then really sort of deep diving into the processes and who was doing what based on the roles and responsibilities. So I really liked that because that in itself, even pre any of the recommendations that came after the audit, was the fact that I was getting clarity around the fact that we had lack of clarity and that we were really reactive and that we had too many systems. So even the question and the start of the audit was the start of us realizing that we actually really needed the audits. It was an amazing process for us to start off. I think what stood out the most was the ability of Spek'd to actually sort of break down each of the areas of the business without necessarily feeling like you understood the business well, without me having to spend hours explaining all the bits and pieces. And that is based on the fact that, every business has operations, every business has a system in place. And the fact that putting things that are structured and practical in place just applies to all businesses. So I found it really easy to talk to you because I felt like you understood the business straight away. That made that process really easy. The aha moments for us were that we were not just double handling things, we were triple handling things. I was doing an inventory, Max was doing an inventory, Benji was doing an inventory, and never the three shall meet. And it just felt like a non-stop job. Also the fact that once we had all the systems in place, and once we post-audit, and we sort of discovered what we were double handling and triple handling, that was going to take away so much of that sort of reactive time that we were spending our times during the day doing, and giving us back some time to really focus on getting, really doing business development, because that's what we need to be doing more of on a day-to-day basis, instead of worrying the systems are in place and we have all the stock at the right time, etc. So it was actually really helpful, that big moment of like, wow, we're getting time back, really getting real time in the business back. I want to say the impact has been huge for us, because it started off with reducing the chaos, bringing more control into our day-to-day life, and a focus on growth. And that focus on growth is basically given us the opportunity to go after bigger businesses. So now we work with big franchise businesses, and we're able to deliver on big projects that are national and even international. So it has given us the opportunity to create real impact and to be able to say yes to bigger projects instead of little projects all the time. So what's that's done is the clarity of knowing that our systems are supporting our day-to-day work has given us the ability to respond faster to big projects, to start developing with some of our bigger clients. So I'm forever thankful for having had the audit, because now I'm not afraid to go and after when doing the business development, going after all these big businesses and setting ourselves up for these projects. 100% would recommend a Spek'd audit, because when you start out as a business, as I said earlier, you think you have your systems in place. You think people understand what they're doing, their jobs, their responsibility. And if you want to grow and you don't have clear understanding of how your business is set up and how it will help you scale with the systems in place, then you're doing yourself a disservice. The audit has been the best investment Two Streets Over has made, hands down, full stop. All those little things that seem so little at the time, now I look at them and I think I'm so thankful for it, because I can actually pitch for big business. These things are really important for us, and that's what the audit did to us. It gave us the confidence to grow and to be the business we want to be.